Hey everyone, welcome back to the MattVidPro AI YouTube channel. Now for this channel, this upcoming week is going to be pretty big. There's a lot of stuff to talk about and even more stuff to show you. This video right now is going to be some of the biggest stuff. It's all surrounding OpenAI's announcements, but get subscribed and stay tuned for later this week. Now yes, like I said, today's video is all about OpenAI. Today they had their Dev Day, which is this big announcement keynote similar to other tech companies like Microsoft and Apple, where they show us new products and innovations. I think today they've really proved that they are the most in tap with what our future surrounding AI is going to look like. So as much as I do root for open source software a lot of the time, OpenAI really just knows how to hit it right out of the park. So guys, the first thing that they announced was a brand new GPT-4 Turbo model. As we know, there is a GPT 3.5 Turbo model that runs the base version of ChatGPT, the free version. So we can expect GPT-4 Turbo to be much of the same, just a faster version of the GPT-4 model. However, that's not all they announced. Check this out.
GPT-4 supported up to 8K, and in some cases up to 32K context length. But we know that isn't enough for many of you and what you want to do. GPT-4 Turbo supports up to 128,000 tokens of context.
That's big, dude. This new GPT-4 Turbo model supports 128,000 tokens of context. That is industry leading right there. OpenAI has classically not really had the best in terms of context length. Like their old GPT-4 8K context length is around 75,000 words, but 128,000 context length, well, that is a lot bigger.
That's 300 pages of a standard book, 16 times longer than our 8K context. And in addition to longer context length, you'll notice that the model is much more accurate over a long context.
Around 300 pages worth of a standard book. So now you'll be able to copy just straight Wikipedia articles, big chunks of books, if not entire full books, and ask detailed questions, ask it do creative actions based off of those large context lengths. And Sam's stating that it's going to be accurate across these larger context lengths. Hopefully better than the current day Claude 2 100K model. And I'm also interested to see how fast it is with these large context lengths. We'll have to put all of this to the test. They do say that this new GPT-4 Turbo model is available.
We have a new feature called JSON mode, which ensures that the model will respond with valid JSON. This has been a huge developer request. It'll make calling APIs much easier. The model is also much better at function calling. You can now call many functions at once, and it'll do better at following instructions in general.
This makes it a lot more usable for actual integrations inside of applications for developers, and that's a really, really big deal. They'll actually show off some really cool capabilities of this later, and I think you guys are really going to be blown away. This is pretty huge. The new GPT-4 Turbo model has consistent seed output, so you can specify a seed, and with the same exact input prompt, it will put the same exact thing out every single time. So by slightly tweaking your prompt, you can actually see how the model will evolve to respond to your prompt over time. I really cannot wait to try that out inside of the playground.
Better world knowledge. You want these models to be able to access better knowledge about the world. So do we. So we're launching retrieval in the platform. You can bring knowledge from outside documents or databases into whatever you're building. We're also updating the knowledge cutoff. GPT-4 Turbo has knowledge about the world up to April of 2023, and we will continue to improve that over time.
So we kind of skimmed over the most important feature there, which is data retrieval. This might seem like it's just for developers, but one of the major announcements that OpenAI talks about later in today's video, I think is going to heavily rely on this data retrieval feature. Essentially, this means that you can upload specific documents of information and it will be able to go back to those over and over again. And this is separate from just inputting information directly into the context. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing this. I hope it's similar to Pinecone, which is vector-based memory for large language models. But like I said, he kind of skimmed over it. Yeah, the 2021 knowledge cutoff was quite rough. And of course, OpenAI is announcing some major API support. DALL-E 3 is getting its own API. I don't know how they're going to manage that API considering the servers are already hammered just from Bing Create and the regular ChatGPT Plus, but that is going to be absolutely huge. Every single AI image generator website at the moment moment at least, is going to try to offer some form of DALL-E 3 because it's such a competitive AI image generation model and it's so versatile. Of course, you're also going to get a GPT-4 Turbo model API with vision capabilities. The vision API is also available, and it's the best vision multimodal AI to exist. And of course, their text-to-speech is also getting an API. If you guys want an example, this is what their text-to-speech sounds like. They're offering it in 6 different voices with the API. I think it's tough to compete with the likes of 11 Labs and PlayHT that allow you to literally clone any voice you want and are arguably better in some scenarios.
Did you know that Alexander Graham Bell, the eminent inventor, was enchanted by the world of sounds? His ingenious mind led to the creation of the graphophone, which etched sounds onto wax, making voices whisper through time.
We're also releasing the next version of our open source speech recognition model, Whisper v3, today, and it'll be coming soon to the API.
So yes, they also announced Whisper v3, which is speech to text, the reverse of text to speech. Whisper v3 takes our voice in, converts it to text to the LLM, it thinks of an output, and then the text-to-speech model outputs it to us. We've seen all of this inside of ChatGPT, specifically on iOS and Android, and the Whisper v3 model looks very good and is pretty much the only open source thing that OpenAI still makes. But Whisper has always been phenomenal, and I wish Apple would just adopt it on their iPhones. I'm going to skim over these just a little bit. They're announcing some limited experimental access to GPT-4 fine-tuning. Of course, this is more for the business and dev side of things, essentially allowing you to fine-tune GPT-4 on your own proprietary data. And they're also announcing custom models for a little bit more than just fine-tuning capabilities. Again, this is all a part of that enterprise business platform. So now we come to the kicker about GPT-4 Turbo, the pricing. Nothing matters if it's super expensive, right?
GPT-4 Turbo is the industry-leading model. It delivers a lot of improvements that we just covered, and it's a smarter model than GPT-4. We've heard from developers that there are a lot of things that they want to build, but GPT-4 just costs too much. They've told us that if we could decrease the cost by 20–25%, that would be great, a huge leap forward. I'm super excited to announce that we worked really hard on this, and GPT-4 Turbo is considerably cheaper than GPT-4 by a factor of 3x for prompt tokens and 2x for completion tokens.
Man, that is crazy stuff, dude. It's a cheap model. It's actually a cheap model. Sam also did sneak in there that GPT-4 Turbo is a smarter model than GPT-4. We'll have to see how true that is in practice. I just have a hard time believing that, but you never know. But yeah, this GPT-4 Turbo model is super cheap. It costs 1 cent for 1,000 input tokens, around 750 words, and 3 cents for 1,000 output tokens, again, around 750 words. That's not bad at all. That's a lot cheaper than GPT-4 previously was. I am beyond excited to see the influence on this. We are going to see new, smarter GPT-based websites, and they're also reducing the prices for their GPT 3.5 Turbo models.
ChatGPT now uses GPT-4 Turbo with all the latest improvements, including the latest knowledge cutoff, which will continue to update. That's all live today. It can now browse the web when it needs to, write and run code, analyze data, take and generate images, and much more. And we heard your feedback, that model picker, extremely annoying. That is gone starting today. You will not have to click around the drop-down menu. All of this will just work together.
So that's pretty exciting. Some little updates to the ChatGPT interface. We already kind of saw this coming because some people were just getting all models in one place. But yeah, that new GPT-4 Turbo model is just on default for all ChatGPT Plus users. Now, this is by far the biggest announcement that they're making today. So buckle up for this one, guys.
We're thrilled to introduce GPTs. GPTs are tailored versions of ChatGPT for a specific purpose. You can build a GPT, a customized version of ChatGPT for almost anything, with instructions, expanded knowledge, and actions, and then you can publish it for others to use. And because they combine instructions, expanded knowledge, and actions, they can be more helpful to you. They can work better in many contexts, and they can give you better control. They'll make it easier for you to accomplish all sorts of tasks or just have more fun, and you'll be able to use them right within ChatGPT. You can, in effect, program a GPT with language just by talking to it. It's easy to customize the behavior so that it fits what you want. This makes building them very accessible, and it gives agency to everyone.
huge, huge, huge announcement. GPTs. These are essentially little customizable versions of ChatGPT, and this is really OpenAI's first step into the world of autonomous agents, as they'll show off later. These are actually coming out limitedly today, so we're going to explore them. It's a little bit more than just custom instructions for ChatGPT. Sure, we can do custom instructions, and we can give it expanded knowledge through that data retrieval that they showed off in the beginning of the keynote, but also it can do actions, so it can hook up and connect to different apps and plugins. You can build these things more as tools. I don't think that they did that enough justice inside of the keynote, but I think everyone is going to see the true capabilities of these custom GPTs, because they'll actually be publishable, meaning you can share them in the GPT store. In the keynote, they show off a few little demos, such as this Canva one, where it can actually use the Canva API to create stuff very similar to the Canva ChatGPT plugin, but now it's its own GPT, so it's a lot more in depth than just the plugin. This is really an expansion off of plugins. Now, they use the Zapier GPT to show off the potentiality of autonomous AI agents using these custom GPTs, because of course these things can do custom actions. And Zapier, if you don't know, essentially allows apps to connect to each other. So take a look at this.
I've already used this before, so it's actually already connected to my calendar. To start, I can ask, what's on my schedule for today? We build GPTs with security in mind. So before it performs any action or share data, it will ask for your permission. So right here, I'm gonna say aloud. GPT is designed to take in your instructions, make the decision on which capability to call to perform that action, and then execute that for you. So you can see right here, it's already connected to my calendar. It pulls in my information, and then I've also prompted it to identify conflicts on my calendar.
So yeah, not only can this thing access your current normal Google Calendar you already use, it can identify any conflicts that you might have in that calendar. But that's not the most incredible part.
Let Sam know I gotta go. Chasing GPUs. So with that, I'm gonna swap to my conversation with Sam, and then I'm gonna say, yes, please run that. Sam, did you get that?
I did.
This thing was able to do more actions than just reading your calendar. It can understand some information from your calendar and then go message the person to let them know that you have a conflict in your calendar. Autonomous AI agent capabilities, guys. Totally possible inside of these little GPTs, especially with Zapier, which is already very powerful. Super, super exciting. They do show off how to build a GPT, but I believe that we will be able to test this out for ourselves today, so I'm going to leave that up to me. As you can see on the website, introducing GPTs. All of these different kinds, the creative writing coach, tech advisor, game time, tailored version of ChatGPT, as we just went over, no coding required to make them, and they have the ability to use all of these GPT-4 Turbo features like data retrieval, plugins, or all these actions. Now, the best GPTs, as they say, are going to be invented by the community, because there is going to be this GPT store where you can share all the GPTs. And this is actually coming later this month, but right now you can share them publicly using links. There's going to be some sort of a GPT leaderboard like we saw with the original Apple App Store, and of course the most useful and delightful GPTs are going to be spotlighted. So as you guys can see, introducing GPTs, custom versions of ChatGPT. Let's get started. Oh darn, your access to custom GPTs isn't ready yet. Okay, they're slowly rolling this out over this week apparently. So I can assure you, as soon as this comes out, I am going to make a full video detailing on this. So get subscribed. For now, we'll just have to take a look at the demo that they provided in the keynote.
I'm going to go to create a GPT here, and this drops me into the GPT builder. I worked with founders for years at YC. And still, whenever I meet developers, the questions I get are always about how do I think about a business idea? Can you give me some advice? I'm going to see if I can build a GPT to help with that. So to start, GPT Builder asks me what I want to make. And I'm going to say, I want to help startup founders think through their business ideas and get advice. After the founder has gotten some advice, grill them on why they are not growing faster. All right, so to start off, I just tell the GPT a little bit about what I want here. And it's going to go off and start thinking about that, and it's going to write some detailed instructions for the GPT. It's also going to, let's see, ask me about a name. How do I feel about Startup Mentor? That's fine. That's good. So if I didn't like the name, of course, I could call it something else, but it's going to try to have this conversation with me and start there. And you can see here on the right in the preview mode that it's already starting to fill out the GPT, where it says what it does. It has some ideas of additional questions that I could ask. And you know what? So it just generated a candidate. Of course, I could regenerate that or change it, but I sort of like that. So I will say, that's great. And you see now that the GPT is being built out a little bit more as we go. Now, what I want this to do, how it can interact with users, I could talk about style here. But what I'm going to say is I am going to upload transcripts of some lectures about startups I have given. Please give advice based off of those. All right. So now it's going to go figure out how to do that. And I would like to show you the Configure tab.
All right, I'll pause it there. I know I let that run for a little bit. You'll notice as you build the GPT just with natural language, it actually creates it in a little preview on the side, and you can test things and build it as you go. So this is the first time we've ever seen OpenAI implement something like this where two GPTs are working side by side with you. Really, really cool stuff. Also, DALL-E 3 making the icons, I think that's pretty awesome. And I like that it comes up with the name and everything for you. As you can see, it came up with some instructions that look pretty good. Sam goes on here to evaluate those. And right before he switched over to the Configure tab, you can see to personalize this, he did say he's going to upload some of the transcripts of his lectures to give GPT Builder a better idea of how to complete its Startup Mentor task. But you can see this bot builder is pretty basic. We got a name, a description, and then instructions. And if you scroll down though, you have knowledge where you can upload specific files. So this could be PDF files full of your information. Again, that's the data retrieval. But you can also give this thing capabilities such as the web browsing capability, DALL-E image generation capability, code interpreter. So all of these OpenAI plugins are now available inside of this as well. And of course, this little add actions button, which they gloss over and don't really talk about inside of the keynote, but that's super important. So he goes on to the upload files and then uploads some lectures, and then now he's ready to test out his little GPT.
What are 3 things to look for when hiring employees at an early stage startup? Now it's going to look at that document I uploaded. It'll also have, of course, all of the background knowledge. That's pretty good. Those are 3 things that I definitely have said many times. Now we could go on and it would start following the other instructions and grill me on why I'm not growing faster. I'm going to publish this only to me for now.
And you can see here, you can publish this only to me, anyone inside of your enterprise, anyone with a link. So this will obviously give you some sort of a copy-pasted unlisted link, or you can have it fully public inside of their store, which, like we said, is coming later this month. So this is pretty huge as well. When the GPT store exists and you can share your custom GPTs, if they get popular, you can actually get revenue sharing from those GPTs. So we don't really know what the split is going to look like here, but I assume if you have a popular GPT, maybe you can make a little bit of cash. That's always nice to see. So they have a little bit more for developers here, including threading, the retrieval that was previously mentioned, code interpreter, which we just saw as well, and the also previously mentioned function calling. So I think I'm going to let this little demo ride out for a little bit because this is really, really cool. This is more developer focused, but it shows you what the new capabilities are using OpenAI's API. It's getting really, really powerful.
Today, we're launching new modalities in the API, but we are also very excited to improve the developer experience for you all to build assistive agents. So let's dive right in. Imagine I'm building Wanderlust, a travel app for global explorers, and this is the landing page. I've actually used GPT-4 to come up with these destination ideas, and for those of you with a keen eye, these illustrations are generated programmatically using the new DALL-E 3 API available to all of you today. So it's pretty remarkable. But let's enhance this app by adding a very simple assistant to it. This is the screen. We're going to come back to it in a second. First, I'm going to switch over to the new Assistants Playground. Creating an assistant is easy. You just give it a name, some initial instructions, a model, in this case I'll pick GPT-4 Turbo, and here I'll also go ahead and select some tools. I'll turn on Code Interpreter, and retrieval, and save. And that's it, our assistant is ready to go. Next, I can integrate with two new primitives of this assistance API, threads and messages. Let's take a quick look at the code. The process here is very simple. For each new user, I will create a new thread, and as these users engage with their assistant, I will add their messages to these threads. And then I can simply run the assistant at any time to stream the responses back to the app. So we can return to the app and try that in action. If I say, hey, let's go to Paris. All right, that's it.
By using OpenAI's API, instead of developing all of this code yourself, you can build these agents where I could just tell it, oh, let's go to Paris, and it can interact directly with the Apple Maps and just bring up Paris on the map.
Assistant right inside the app. And I'd like to highlight one of my favorite features here, function calling. If you have not used it yet, function calling is really powerful. And as Sam mentioned, we're taking it a step further today. It now guarantees the JSON output with no added latency, and you can invoke multiple functions at once for the first time. So here, if I carry on and say, hey, what are the top 10 things to do? I'm gonna have the assistant respond to that again. And here, what's interesting is that the assistant knows about functions, including those to annotate the map that you see on the right. And so now all of these pins are dropping in real time here.
That's crazy. Again, you can ask it some general GPT answer information, and then it can go and add that into the functions in the code and drop pins on the map for those functions. All seamlessly. I mean, that's the AI thinking to do that. Very remarkable stuff.
And that integration allows our natural language interface to interact fluidly with components and features of our app. And it truly showcases now the harmony you can build between AI and UI, where the assistant is actually taking action. Let's talk about retrieval. And retrieval is about giving our assistant more knowledge beyond these immediate user messages. In fact, I got inspired and I already booked my tickets to Paris. So I'm just gonna drag and drop here this PDF. While it's uploading, I can just sneak peek at it. Very typical United flight ticket. And behind the scene here, what's happening is that retrieval is reading these files, and boom, the information about this PDF appeared on the screen.
It knows where to put it inside of the UI that was already built.
And this is, of course, a very tiny PDF, but assistants can parse long-form documents from extensive text to intricate product specs, depending on what you're building. In fact, I also booked an Airbnb, so I'm just going to drag that over to the conversation as well. And by the way, we've heard from so many of you developers how hard that is to build yourself. You typically need to compute your embeddings, you need to set up chunking algorithm. Now, all of that is taken care of.
I mean, overall, this is just super incredible. It shows you the depth of apps that you can build. And I mean, this was just a simple one. There's more complex ones that could be made. I really can't wait to see how the development community utilizes all of these capabilities. And they kind of finish off this conversation by gifting every single person in the audience $500 worth of OpenAI credits using this little whisper text-to-speech demo. So yeah, some really incredible things that were announced today from OpenAI. They're really doing some crazy stuff. Like I said, when I get access to the features that we saw in today's keynote and announcement, I absolutely will be creating videos, so there should be something at least, I think, this week on this. Now, I think you guys will agree with me. OpenAI is really in tune with the technology they're building. They understand what its capabilities are in the greater scheme of things, and most importantly, they know how to really give these tools to the community and to the people. Sure, they might not be open sourcing their technology, but they do the next best thing, which is provide everything in an affordable and easy to use API. And if you're not a developer, they actually have ChatGPT with this new custom GPTs feature. You don't even have to know how to code and you can build stuff. It's going to be phenomenal. The most creative minds are going to have the floor with this, I really think. And that is exciting. I can't wait to see what people make. While they didn't announce any groundbreaking tech in terms of a fully automated agent, I think you could get pretty far using the new OpenAI GPT, as we saw with that Zapier demo. And of course, we'll have to see what kind of automated agents people can actually build in website form using the APIs. This technology, what we just saw, is going to power the 2024 AI year, I guarantee it. And of course, with GPT-4 Turbo now actually being cheaper, we can turn our attention to the potentiality of a GPT-5 coming somewhat in the future. I don't know, you guys will have to let me know what you think about that. Anyways, I'm at MattVidPro AI. Like I said, there's a lot more to talk about than just the OpenAI stuff, so get subscribed and stay tuned. AI is moving at warp speed yet again. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.